Hello, friends, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Gray Podcast. I am your host, Carlos Cabrera Jr. We have a stacked episode to go, so let's not waste any more time and let's jump right into it. Cue that intro music. We are here. We have finally made it. It is February 17th by the time you're listening to this. Today is actually Super Bowl Sunday that I'm recording. I wanted to get it out of my system, first ever episode. I couldn't wait any longer. Typically, I'm going to try to record these on like a Tuesday. If I get better at it, probably a Wednesday so I can edit it. And it'll just be next day. You'll get it every Thursday. But I couldn't wait any longer. So it's Super Bowl Sunday. We're ready to go. First ever episode of the Gray Podcast. I want to welcome you, however you found us, whether it was you searched us, you knew about us, talked about us, or you just came across because you had no idea and you saw our logo and you were like, nah, whatever, let's give it a try. I want to thank you for listening or watching, however you're getting this. I just want to thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully, I don't let you down. This is a big idea of mine that I'm really looking forward to, so I can't express to you how thankful I am. The Gray Podcast, man. This podcast is going to be about stories. It's going to be about interviews. I want to interview interesting people. I want to interview people that have stories of their own. A little backstory of the Gray. The first story I want to talk about, actually, and it fits so well, is a couple years ago. I'm talking about 2020, that year, the year of COVID. And of course, COVID is part of this story. It was right before the United States was getting hit hard, but we were on the brink of it. It was like within a couple weeks. We, talking about Adriana, my soon-to-be wife, she got sick and we weren't sure what was going on. We first thought, this is probably COVID. She has the symptoms. Man, this is crazy because we've been seeing it on the news and now it's actually here. And it was scary because there was people that I've known who don't typically get worried about stuff like that, who actually were scared. And I was like, oh, shit. Well, she has COVID, so that means I'm probably going to have COVID. So we went through the testing together. She got the test. I just drove with her. And man, first ever test that they were having, they stuck that freaking Q-tip up her nose so far up. I mean, we're talking about probably almost eye level. Not that high, but it was high enough to where it looked so painful. I looked over and I said, there's no fucking way that I'm getting that thing put in my nose. There's no way. If she has it, I have it. If she doesn't have it, good. I'm not getting it. The lady looks at me and goes, do you want to get? Nope, I'm good. Not going to get tested just because of how painful that looked. And I know that if she had it, I would have had to go. But they tell us, you know what, until the test results come back, you both have to quarantine. So we were home for 5-6 days because she's a nurse. So at that time, that was a fast turnaround, 5-6 days. Nowadays, it's like, boom, within minutes, 15 minutes if you have rapid, or a couple days. Yeah, it was 5-6 days because she was a nurse. So they said, yeah, you're going to get a quick turnaround because you work in healthcare. So we were home for 5 days. Her symptoms started going away. And then her test results came back and it said she didn't have COVID. So we were like, man, what's going on? So we decided, you know what, let's just get a pregnancy test. Let's just test it out. Let's see what's going on. She took the test and boom, we found out that she was pregnant. So fast forward now, we're a couple weeks into knowing that we're pregnant with our first child. And yes, it is scary because, we're in the middle of COVID, so we don't know if she gets COVID. Was that due to the baby? We were definitely overthinking it for sure because we didn't know what COVID was at the time, and still at that, we don't really know what it is now. But that's a different story. So a couple weeks now have gone by since we found out that she was pregnant, and my company said, you know what, everyone's starting to be quarantined at home and just stay home. Why don't you guys just stay home? And I said, man, that's great, awesome. So I was working from home, ended up working from home for almost 2 months, I think it was. I know people worked from home way longer. And then I know some people never got the chance, but I worked from home in my PJs probably every day for almost 2 months. But the first week of being at home, she was super nauseous. It was early stages of pregnancy, and it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And she says to me, and this is pretty important here as well. Pennsylvania issued a stay at home at this point to where they didn't really want people going out if you didn't have to. So that led to multiple businesses closing early. Walmart was no longer 24/7. Grocery stores that we have around the area that are 24/7 were no longer really those top places. So just keep that in mind. So it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. She says to me, I'm super nauseous. Can you please go get me saltine crackers? I know we don't have saltine crackers. I don't eat them. And I go, yeah, sure. Yeah. And just a little backstory, I am a super early bird. I wake up early. I go to bed early. I wake up at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I go to bed at like 7, 8 o'clock at night. So 9:30, 10 o'clock for me, I'm struggling. But she's feeling sick. I want to take care of her. I want to make sure that she's taken care of. So I get in my car and I go. And as I'm driving, I think, man, Walmart's not open. The grocery stores aren't open. Where the hell am I going to get saltine crackers? I said, well, the only thing that's open right now is the gas station. So I went across the street. There's a Wawa there. And I went into the Wawa, no saltine crackers. They had these little Ritz crackers, right? Which at the time I was like, oh, maybe, but let me try a couple other places. Hopefully they have it. And if not, I'll just come back here. It's on my way back home anyway. So I went to two more Turkey Hills, and then I went to a Sheetz as well. So 4 total gas stations. None of them had saltine crackers. The best option I had was the Ritz crackers. So I drove back, went back in the Wawa, and I'm thinking, man, hopefully this is going to do for her. Now it's like 11 o'clock at night. She's now, I don't know if she's throwing up. I don't know how sick she is. I go into the Wawa, start walking back to the Ritz crackers, and as I'm walking, I pass by on my right saltine crackers, the little packets that you get for your soup. And they had them on display with fork, spoons, and the dressings, things like that. And it was like a halo. It just lit up. So I ran to the front. It was literally just me. I'm wearing this at the time, like a ski mask. So I look like I'm about to rob the place. So the lady is definitely taken back when I run up to her and I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, you have saltine crackers there. I will give you as much money as I have right now in cash if you can just give me a bag of those. She goes, you want the saltine crackers that you get with soup and you want to buy them? I said, yes, I know it sounds crazy. I said, but listen, my wife, and I just refer to her as my wife because I don't like using the term fiance and stuff. My wife is feeling super sick. She's pregnant. She's nauseous. And she just asked me to go get saltine crackers. Is there any way that I can buy them? Because again, these places don't usually give you a ton. And I don't know the rules. I don't know. I mean, she might have just been able to say, oh, just take as many as you want, right? but I'm desperate at this point. So I ask her, please, is there any way that you can just give me some of those crackers, some of those saltine crackers? She looks at me and she goes, wait a minute, she's not feeling good. And I said, yeah, but it's not COVID. She's pregnant. Because at the time, you're like almost embarrassed to say that you have COVID. It's strange. And she goes, oh, well, give me 1 minute. And she walks to the back, and I'm like, man, I don't know. Maybe she's asking her manager. I don't know what's going on. And she comes out of the back with this box of saltine crackers. And I guess it's the box that they get from the vendor that has them individually packaged, whatever. But it's like a little blue box, and I'm like, oh my god, that she has them. They're right there. She comes up to me, she grabs a bag, and she goes, I can't let you walk out of the store with the box because we don't sell them. She said, but I can. And she opens up the box and she starts dumping all of them in a bag, give you them. I almost wanted to cry. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is the nicest thing anyone has ever done almost to me, which is sad in its own way. But like, what a God sent person almost. And I'm just thanking her so much. Thank you, thank you. Do you want money? Like, I didn't know. Do you want like my social security number? I didn't know what she was gonna say. If she wanted anything, she was like, no, just take them home to her. Did you get ginger ale? Why don't you go get some ginger ale for her? That made me feel good, better when I was pregnant. And I said, that's a good idea. So I went back and I got a little distracted because their fountain drinks, you can mix and match. So I started pouring mine and then remembered that, no, I'm just kidding. No, I immediately grabbed the ginger ale, grabbed my saltine cracker bag, and I walked out, jumped in my car, and man, I started driving home. And Wawa's like almost right across the street from us. So I pull up, I park at the house, and I get out of the car, and I'm thinking, man, I did it. I'm the man here. I'm a freaking hero, right? Uh, whoa, that was intense. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm gonna walk in there and I'm gonna be like Hercules. I'm gonna like she might say I'm not sick anymore and I want to jump in your arms, right? So I walk through the door, my chest out. I'm feeling proud. I'm feeling good. I got these saltine crackers. She doesn't need to know how I got them. I found them. We're talking about like an hour and a half later since I left. I walk through the house, start walking back to the bedroom where I see her laying, and I'm almost doing that meme of that guy that starts, rubbing his hands together. And I'm like, man, she's gonna love me for this. Like, she might want to name our baby Carlos. Like, that's what I'm thinking. And I walk into the back room, to my eyes, passed out. She's asleep, gone. I went up to her and I even nudged her a little bit. Like, I know I should know because if she didn't feel good, I should have just let her sleep. But like, I was a little annoyed, I guess you could say, right? Because man, I just went through hellfire and back to get these saltine crackers. You better wake your ass up and acknowledge that, right? So I give her a little nudge and she goes, no, 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 no. And I give her another little nudge. Mm. Bitch, wake up. No, I'm just kidding. No, I let her sleep. And yeah, in the morning she got her crackers. I put them by her bedside table and put some ginger ale and she thanked me obviously, but she never really heard this story. I told it to her a couple days ago because I said that this was going to be the first story of the Great Podcast. And she was like, I don't think I ever knew that. And I said, yeah, because I never told you. Like, but yeah, that in that moment though is kind of what gave me the idea of, man, this is going to be crazy. Uh, being pregnant and becoming a father during a pandemic, a first time father during a pandemic, like the struggles, the difficulties, the obstacles that we had to overcome. Um, it was so strange to where no one obviously that I've ever known has ever had to go through a pandemic while being pregnant with their first child. Like there was all these different pieces that I was like, you know what? I want to share this. I want to tell people what it's like right now becoming a father in a pandemic during a pandemic. And it was in that moment that the gray was basically born. The idea of it started to really formulate. Um, and it was because of that lady at Wawa, the saltine cracker lady, is why we are sitting here on the podcast now. So fast forward, we find out we're having a boy, we have a son, we name him Grayson. So obviously, the idea of the gray was uh, based off of him. Obviously, I mean, he's my boy, right? He's my son. I wanted to tell stories of, and if my cat jumps on here, just brief thing for those who are watching or listening, and you hear a thump. I have cats, and they're my biggest fans. So if my cat jumps on my desk, don't be startled. I may be, and I'm trying to keep him down because he wants to jump up here right now. But just they're my biggest fans, so I can't keep them out. Anyway, we named our son Grayson. So the gray got its name. It started out as a blog, actually, and I wrote on the website, the Gray Journal, um, and I wrote about, you know, what it was like becoming a father during a pandemic, all those different pieces, right? And then later on, when he was born, I kind of stopped writing because I didn't have the time that I used to, especially first having a child. So I kind of put that on the backside. Didn't really put too much time and effort into that anymore. Um, and I decided to instead uh, do more of a vlog to show having a son and show the different things. So we started making funny little videos more for my entertainment because I enjoy making videos. And then as we were going places, I would vlog it. I would vlog our adventures, his first adventures, his first time going to the zoo, his first time going to fairs. We went to the Finger Lakes last year and just showing that and showing his experiences, right? In his first year. Um, I took pictures and videos almost every day, at least a couple times a week. We put them all in a real long video for his first every year being alive. So that was last year, The Gray. Now, The Gray is obviously a podcast where we're going to share these stories. We're going to interview people, have them tell their stories because that's what The Gray is about. It's about stories, right? Life is not always black and white. It's not cookie cutter. It's not going to be, always so simple. There's that middle ground. There's that gray area. That's where we live. That's where the stories live. Because you can tell people on social media, hey, look, this is my life. I'm here. I'm here in Spain. But they don't know how you got there. They don't know the things that went wrong because we typically don't share that. That's what The Gray is. It's about talking about the things that you don't necessarily see all the time, right? My uh, my almost wife, Adriana, is a nurse, so I get to see the gray areas almost every day. I see when she gets home late at night. I see when she is exhausted. I see when she is hurting. I see when she is in pain, right? Um, so many spouses of people in medicine, especially nowadays, or people just in any field, emergency field at that, see that side, that gray area that the world really doesn't see unless you're part of it. So getting people like that on this podcast, having them tell their stories so that, we can see and you can hear what it's like, getting those deep conversations, those stories, the things that make us laugh, things that make us cry. That's what the gray is. So going forward, the gray podcast, the purpose of it is to talk, to communicate. I went to school for being a communication major. I did multiple studies of communication, strategic communication. Um, One of my main focuses, though, was again the studies of it. How do people communicate? I minored in psychology and sociology. I wanted to study people. I wanted to study why people act the way they do, why the brains think the way they do, and why society acts the way we do. I wanted to study, is there more to communication rather than verbal? Obviously not. Nonverbal takes up most of it. Our nonverbal cues take up most of what we're saying without saying it in word form. So the Gray podcast is going to speak volume on that. It's going to give you insights on other people's lives, on, again, the stories. And I'm just super excited. I know I'm almost beating this in now, but I'm super, super, super excited to just have these conversations. So one thing I want to do is open it up. And I want to say, if you're listening or viewing, comment. If you're watching on YouTube, comment below on your own stories, and I'll look at them. I'm going to look at every single one of them, and I want to talk about them. I want to look at those stories and I want to share them, right? And I'll share them however you write it, I'll say it. So if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment below. You can also follow us at The Gray Podcast on Instagram. You can comment on pictures. You can send us a message. Send me a message on Instagram of your stories, or you can support us on Anchor. And Anchor is this awesome site that we actually download our podcast on. So they disperse it everywhere. They disperse it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, all these other different podcasts. And wherever you get your podcasts, Anchor is going to make sure that the Gray Podcast is brought to you. So you can support us on Anchor. Just want to thank you again. I don't want to take too much time really honing into this. This podcast today obviously is going to be shorter because it's really just giving an intro of what is the Gray Podcast, what does it bring, what does it do, right? And I want you to take in this message today that learn from your mistakes, right? One thing about me is that I've made a lot of mistakes. So many, in fact, to where I think, I think I am blessed that those mistakes haven't derailed me in the way that they probably should. But I learned from them. I lived a good part of my life making mistakes so I could learn from them. But now I'm past that. Now I'm at a different point in my life to where I am learning to not repeat those same mistakes. And to be a better man, to be a better husband one day, to be a better father. My son, my wife, they're my world. They mean literally everything to me. So, before I sign off today, I do want to just share one more story. And that is, hold your people. Hold your people. And life is short, right? We're going to get into a deep topic here. So if you're not a deep person, I do apologize, but life is short. And If you're going through life holding something um, against someone else, or holding on to a grudge, or holding on to anger, um, make peace with that, right? Make peace with that person, that thing in life that's holding you down, because life is short. And if you haven't talked to someone that you think about daily or often, and think, man, I haven't had this conversation uh, with my brother in years. Have that conversation. Reach out, because you don't know if you do reach out, if they'll comment back. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will. Who knows? It's a 50-50 shot, right? It's it's a 0% shot if you don't do it. All you gotta do is pick up your phone. We live in a technological world. Pick up your phone, shoot a text message. Just say hey. Just say hey. Say whatever's on your mind. I would just start with hey. Hi. Put the ball in their court. If they send you a text back, you won, because now you're starting. You're gaining ground. You're communicating, right? If they don't, you tried. Because if you don't send that text, you don't pick up that phone and make that call, knock on their door, however you attempt, you don't know what tomorrow brings. You don't know what the next hour brings, or the next minute. I want to excuse the noise if you heard it. That was my cat turning a serious conversation more light. I want to say that I've lost people in my life, people that I hold very dear and close to my heart, that I don't talk to anymore. And it shaped me into being who I am today. It In some ways it made me more cold, I guess you can say. Because I'm afraid of repeating. Um, I'm afraid of what could happen if I let them back in. But I'm starting to realize um, that time is short. Time is so short, and in all reality, I'm running out of time. I'm young, right? But everyone in life is running out of time. You're not gaining time. You don't gain time as long as you're living. You just lose it. And you don't know how much time you have left. That's the scary thing, I guess, about life. But I look at it as that's the beauty of it, because if you know when you're going to go, then why live? These people in my life that meant so much aren't in it anymore. And I think the first step I have to finally do is accept that it will never be that way again. Um, but more importantly, that I need to forgive, and I need to take the steps so that if I get the call that that person is no longer here, I know that I at least tried. So again, if you send that text, if you have someone that you haven't talked to, send that text. Just say hi. That way it doesn't live on your shoulders. It doesn't hold you down, right? And more importantly, hold your people, because the people you have, those are the people you need. Hold your mom, hold your dad, hold your siblings, uh, hold your children, whatever it may be. Hold your friends, um, your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whatever you want to call each other. Just hold them. Just give them a hug, right? That's what I mean by hold them. I don't mean physically, like hold them. Like I'm not gonna put my 21-year-old sister in my arms and say, "Hi, sis, I'm holding you." Hold your people. Hold them close, because you need your people. Um, in this world that we live in, you need your people. And if you try to go through this world by yourself, it's already a dark world that we live in with your people. Imagine doing that without it, right? I can't imagine dealing with half the stuff I've dealt with if I didn't have my mom the way she is, or if I didn't have my dad, my sister, now Adriana. I mean, the stuff that her and I, since we've been together for going on 6 years, um, and I can confidently say that she is my rock. I mean, she's a boulder for me. You know, she holds me tight when I feel shaky, when I feel things are going wrong, when I need her, she's there. She's always there, and that's why I love that woman so much. Um, I couldn't be more thankful that she's the mother of my child. My son is so blessed because he has a mom like her, to where last night, quick story. Last night we went to Valentine's Day dinner because Valentine's Day is on a Monday. The fuck's up with that? Why does it always have to be on the 14th? Let's just move it to a weekend. But anyway, we went to Valentine's Day dinner last night. Went to this Mexican restaurant, Plaza Azteca, because we're at that point now to where, I said to her, this is like a week ago. I said, babe, I'm gonna make a reservation. Where would you like to go for Valentine's Day dinner? I was thinking, boom, 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 boom. These are all 4 or 5 star restaurants, nice restaurants, right? And I said, we'll have to get a babysitter. We can go whichever day you want. And she goes, I don't want to do any of that. I go, okay. She goes, I want to get a margarita. That's what I want. I just want a margarita. Let's go to Plaza Azteca, the Mexican restaurant, and let's just get a margarita. And I said, in that moment, I've never loved a person more in my life because one, she just saved me so much money. An $80 dinner, uh, which is fantastic, right? Where I would have been spending probably 200 because I've done it in years past. So one, she just saved me money. So she's the queen right there for that. But two, she's not afraid now. We're at that point to where we're like, you know what? We're going to do what we want to do. If we want to go to Plaza Azteca for Valentine's Day, if we want to go to a diner for Valentine's Day, we don't have to front anything, which I love. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that we can't still go do nice things because we still do. But we wanted to just be, listen, mom and dad don't have the baby tonight, right? We don't have the baby. So, and it's Valentine's Day. So we were like, man, this is awesome. We're going to do what we want to do. And I know what you're thinking. You don't have the baby? What? You could have went anywhere. Guess what? We went to a fucking Mexican restaurant, got some margaritas. We went home. I mean, not me because I drove, but her, the room was spinning for her. She went to bed. It was great. We were in bed by 9 o'clock. My ass was out. She was out, right? That's the life of not having a kid at home right now because he's staying at Grammy's house. So thank you, Grammy, for watching Grayson last night so that we could have margaritas, we could eat some tacos, and go right to bed. It was fantastic. It was probably one of the best Valentine's Day days I've had. So I enjoyed myself, and I hope she did as well. But yeah, she it's so funny the way that she is, and I truly do just, you know, she's supporting me during the podcast. She's doing all these different things. So I want to first and foremost here on the podcast want to thank you, Adriana, if you're listening or watching. I'm not going to tell you to, but if you're listening or watching, thank you so much for supporting me and for always supporting me. So, and for being a kick-ass mom that you are. So this is going to wrap up today's podcast. Again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, watching, however you're getting this. Just want to thank you. This first ever episode was more of just like a backstory, obviously, but it was also just so you can get kind of an insight of who I am, where I'm coming from, and I also wanted to. I'll be blatantly obvious with you. I wanted to get used to doing this podcast. I wanted to get used to, all right, let me get this first episode out of the way, and then we'll go from there, and I'll become more comfortable. And I really do think that we have something going here. So I want to thank you again. If you have a story to tell, make sure you share it on YouTube, share it on Instagram, or shoot me a message, however it may be. Just want to thank you again for listening, for watching, and for tuning in to the Gray Podcast. Also, quick note, Super Bowl's tonight. Cincinnati, I'm taking them to win. This isn't a sports podcast, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But Cincinnati, I think they're going to pull it out. When this comes out on Thursday, I guarantee people are going to be laughing at me because LA is probably going to win since I picked Cincinnati. But I'm picking Cincinnati 27-24, Cincinnati. Let's go Bengals. I'm an Eagles fan, so I don't give a fuck who wins, but let's go Bengals. And thank you again for tuning in to the Gray Podcast.